Hello everyone, welcome back to Chessboard Baseball and another series breakdown. This time, the series that just concluded between the Dodgers and the Cubs, where the Dodgers were able to snap the Cubs 10-game winning streak, although it was 9 coming into the series, and then the Cubs were able to actually extend it to 10 during the first game, and then the Dodgers were able to take game 2 and game 3. It was actually a really good series for the Dodgers offensively and pitching as well, at least again for the starting pitchers. It's starting to look a lot like it happened last year at the beginning of the postseason, where the starters were not the issue for the Dodgers. It was actually the bullpen. And very surprising great starts by Emmett Sheehan. So that was really good. Although Sasaki continues to struggle, but Emmett Sheehan has had a really good outing on the mound. And then Robleski during the third game, surprising everyone once again, dominating, going for 7 innings, and ERA now down to 1.50, which is insane. But again, Chessboard Baseball, we grade plate appearances and evaluate hitters, not pitchers, but we'll mention it right as we do the series breakdown. Good outing by Sheehan, good outing by Robleski. Sasaki continues to struggle, so I don't know what the answer may be for Sasaki moving forward and as the season continues to unfold. But as we've done on the other series breakdowns, we're going to start with the MVP. And then as far as Chessboard Baseball, who had the highest score during the entire series, then who had the lowest score, then we'll get into the best plate appearance and the lowest plate appearance, and just a little bit more information on the entire team as to how everyone did during this series, again, in according to Chessboard Baseball. And it was a really good outing. It was a really good series offensively. It wasn't the case against the Giants. They struggled quite a bit against the Giants, but they bounced back against the Cubs. So let's start with our series MVP for Dodgers versus Cubs. All right, so the series MVP for Dodgers versus Cubs was Shohei Ohtani. He had a 13.53 Rook average, which was the highest. I think there was one that had a higher one, but they didn't have enough plate appearances, so we'll look at everything like that. But as far as everyone who played and had a significant amount of plate appearances, it was Shohei Ohtani. And the funny thing about this and how this thing works and how baseball works is that Shohei Ohtani had by far the lowest score during Dodgers versus Giants. He had like a 3.69 or something, which I was super concerned. And I had pretty much the entire video was like, Ohtani did terrible during this series. And then he bounces back and is the best one the next series. And this actually happened with Max Muncy as well, where he was the lowest score during the I think Max Muncy had the lowest score against the Mets, so the series against the Mets, and then against the Rockies, he was the MVP and had and was the best score. So it just goes to show how people can bounce back from one series to another and just completely recover. And then here we go. And this is the first queen that, since we've been doing this, the first player who's been designated a queen who has won MVP, and that was Shohei Ohtani. And this is also the highest Rook average for any given series so far this season, since we've started doing this series breakdown. So Shohei Ohtani bouncing back in a great fashion. And again, if we look at the first game, so we'll look at the numbers as to what made Shohei Ohtani amazing during this series, and as far as maintaining and having quality plate appearances throughout. Let's look at the numbers real quick. All right, so this was the first game of the series, and as you can see, 3 strikeouts. So you're like, oh, 3 strikeouts and a walk, which gives you a lot of points. But as you can see, these strikeouts, they weren't that bad. I mean, that second strikeout was a little bad, only because of that strike swinging at a pitch outside the strike zone. But that first one wasn't too bad. It was on 6 pitches. It was a 2-2 count, but he was fouling off a lot of pitches in the strike zone, and he actually struck out on a foul tip that the catcher caught. So it was caught in the mitt, and it's still given, because it was foul tip, so it was a pitch that he swung at in the strike zone, and he made contact. It just ended up in the catcher's glove, and it counts as a strikeout. Um, but they were fine, and even that last one, that third strikeout, 2-2 count with two fouls, with fouling two pitches in the strike zone. And yes, he did strike out looking, but it was fine. So I mean, even these three strikeouts, if we compare them against that plate appearance that he had last series against the Giants, where he was swinging at everything outside the strike zone, strikes out, he struck out pitches outside the strike zone and kept fouling off pitches that were way outside the strike zone. That wasn't the case here for this first game. And really, this is the only game where he really had negative outcomes. Everything else, he was super solid. Here we look at the second game, and in the second game, look at all these positive outcomes. Outside of that fifth plate appearance, everything else was good. So he singled, and then he walked on 5 pitches, then he walked on 3 pitches, with men on base. And then even the fourth plate appearance, it was on a grounder where it was a productive out. So yes, it wasn't out, but it was a productive out. He either moved the runners to second or scored. I can't remember what happened during that one, but that was just what it was scored as. And yes, the last plate appearance, it was a ground out. But then if we look at the third game, everything was positive. I mean, every plate appearance, he just crushed it. So he had a walk, a single, a double, and a home run. So, I mean, yes, I know the cycle is hit or a single, double, triple, home run. But if you add a walk as another means to get on base, so you would have walk, single, double, and he was just missing the triple. From having, something even more than the cycle. I don't know what you will call that if you walk, single, double, triple, and home run. But anyways, he was missing the triple from the cycle last game. And yes, I mean, he was not far and away, but he was definitely the best player this series. And even if Chessboard Baseball, the system, hadn't identified him as the series MVP, I mean, it's just clear that he was. All right, now here we have the numbers for everyone. So as we can see, Shohei Ohtani with the 13.53, but we can also see Max Muncy. And the reason why I did not pick Max Muncy, he only played 2 games, and I was kind of surprised by that. And especially that second game that he was, even with bases loaded, why would you pinch run for Max Muncy, who's red hot, to bring in Espinal? I wasn't completely sure about that. So that was kind of strange to me. But anyways, Max Muncy was having a really good series before being taken out that second game, and then not playing the other game. So in total, he only had 7 plate appearances against Ohtani's 13 plate appearances. So there's a huge difference there. So that's why I went Ohtani. But yes, Max Muncy had a 13.57. Everyone, and as you can see all these numbers, and if you look at the tiers down here, everyone was above good as far as plate appearances for the entire series, with the exception of Freddie Freeman, which I was super surprised, because when this system was established and developed and I started doing these evaluations, I thought Freddie Freeman was going to be someone who would be a lot more consistent when it comes to this system that evaluates quality plate appearances and the consistency of being able to have quality plate appearances over time. But for this series, Freddie Freeman was the only one in the bad. Everyone else was good. I mean, even above 9. We're talking about not even in the averages, right? We're talking about 9 plus scores for everyone on the team, which is insane. So we have Will Smith, and again, I know that Dalton Rushing has been, well, crushing it, but Will Smith has been performing fine, and I'm confused. Is he hurt? Is he just being there's some sort of load management happening here? Because yes, he played that first game, he was fine, he hit a home run, right? He hit that 3-run home run, and then he doesn't play 2 more games in a row, even against a left-handed pitcher who was the pitcher on the third game for the Cubs. So I don't know. I'm a little confused as to what's happening here, and maybe there's some information that I'm missing that I'm not getting because I'm only really seeing the games. But so I don't really know what's happening outside of that, or what the chatter has been, or the comments with him not seeing the playing time that you expect Will Smith to see. But regardless, Will Smith had a really good game, that first game of the series. Alex Call, who only one plate appearance, and it wasn't out, it was a flyout, but the guy can battle plate appearances, and it was a super quality plate appearance. So that's why you see the 15 for Rook Average for him there. So yeah, as far as the people that had great with 12 plus Rook averages, so that was Ohtani, Smith, Muncy, and Call. But everyone else, Pajes had a really good series, it looks like, with 11 plus. Freeland, Alex Freeland, I'm super impressed by Alex Freeland. Just the ability to put together quality plate appearances. And even in the times that he strikes out, even the times that he gets out, uh, he sees good pitches, he lays off bad pitches, and he just has a really good approach. Even if the results aren't quite there yet, he has a tremendous approach at the plate. So Freeland's great with 11 plus, Pajes 11 plus, Rojas with 10 plus. Rojas came in that third game and had a really good game. Teoscar Hernandez, surprisingly, had a good series. It started kind of rough. That first game was kind of rough, but then game 2 and 3, he was really good. He was solid, putting up good plate appearances as well, delivering with men in scoring position. Teoscar Hernandez was good. Kyle Tucker, again, was good, doubling and hitting, walking. So had a much better series this one than he did last series. So even Espinal, right? I mean, I'm just looking at everyone here, and everyone produced. Oh, Kim, right? How can I forget about Kim coming up clutch? Again, delivering with men in scoring position. It's singles here and there. Good quality plate appearances as well. So Kim has been really good, and that's the battle, right? Like right now, you might think that Kim has earned the spot over Freeland. And the numbers might tell you so, right? Kim is hitting over 300 as far as average, and he even has like a 900 something OPS for the season so far. And Freeland is nowhere. I don't even know if Freeland makes it to 600, breaks the 600 OPS. However, from my observation in the Chessboard Baseball evaluations, Freeland scores better than Kim because of the quality plate appearances, seeing good pitches, swinging at pitches in the strike zone and everything like that. So I'm not saying that I would go Freeland over Kim necessarily. It just depends, right? If you want plate appearance, quality plate appearance consistency, you go with Freeland. If you want someone to deliver a little bit more, put the ball in play, who has a little bit more power, I think Kim probably does. Then you go with Kim. So, but it just depends, right? And Kim even ranks higher right now in Chessboard Baseball than Freeland, just given the other experience that Kim has in the big leagues. Has a little bit more experience than Freeland as well. So he ranks as a bishop, where Freeland ranks as a pawn. But still, I mean, it's pretty close. And then, okay, so we had the series MVP, and like we said, the person with the lowest score was Freddie Freeman for the series by far, right? Because again, the lowest person other than Freeman was Teoscar with a 9.08, and even that was good. And and Freeman is 4 points below Teoscar. So that's just how different his production level, Freeman's production level was as compared to everyone else on the team, especially this series. And I mean, but again, if Freeman had to pick a series to be this awful, then this was the series where everyone else was hot and everyone else was delivering. So that's not too bad. And then the best plate appearance, as far as the highest score, it was this Tucker 26, which was a double that he hit. That was a double with men in scoring position. It was a really good plate appearance. So I'll show it to you. This was from this last game. Yeah, it was this. So this was the plate appearance, the first plate appearance of the game for game 3. So he ran the count, 3 balls, 3-0 count, 3 balls, no strikes, and then he saw a strike, and then on a 3-1 count, That's when he launched and got that double with men in scoring position. So you have a double is 5 points, men in scoring position is another 5 points, and then his designation as a rook is another 5 points. So that's 15, brings the total to 26. So Tucker had the best plate appearance, and then I think we have Kim for the second series in a row with the worst plate appearance, so -7. And then let's look at that one too. That was on game 2. Yep. So this last plate appearance, 2 strikes looking, that's -1 and -1, and then he struck out on a pitch that was way outside the strike zone, -3, and then -2 for the strikeout, so -7 total for the plate appearance. So that was the worst one of the series. But yeah, that's it for this video. It was a really good bounce back series for the Dodgers to get 2 out of 3 from the red hot Chicago Cubs. Now they move on. They stay in LA, but they move on to play against the Miami Marlins, which they should dominate. I mean, they should really win every game this series, but you never know. I mean, they did split the 4-game series against the Rockies, and they lost the series against the Giants. And in baseball this season, you never know, right? Who's going to get cold, who's going to get rocked on the mound, and everything like that. But it should be a good series for the Dodgers. And it was good that they were able to bounce back in this way against a team like the Cubs, like I said. And the Dodgers were able to regain first place in the NL West, because they were, they're still battling with the Padres, or they're half game ahead of the Padres. So good series overall to be able to get back on top. And they're still having a great season. It's just the Padres are also competing. But yeah, this should be a good series to separate from them a little bit. And then we'll see. Yeah, we'll do another series breakdown once the series concludes. And if something of note happens, we'll drop a video here and there. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.